guidance as a teenager or a kid from someone who wasn't your parent. This is known as a chaperone, and they have oversight with equal ability to tell you what you ought not to do. As an adult, you notice there's some people who are instigators, and they portray the same edition where they think that they are a chaperone when you are an adult. This is what I portray or define as a chaperone 2.0. One thing that's interesting about chaperone 2.0s is that the ultimate chaperone would be a nanny state where an entire legion of chaperones can tell you if you can or cannot go outside. This, from a normalcy bias, would be allowed. And this would be if there's everyone running with chickens and their heads cut off because of a death count being so significant. And maybe it is, and we'll get into that in a second with what that might mean. But first, if there were clouds and they got pushed aside, see, it's supposed to get rain today, and it already rained, and there's not a cloud in the sky. But however, if it were to rain again, then clouds would have to populate. How likely this would be is if clouds were hardened or softened. If this is a thing of an occurrence where a cloud can be harder and softer and you can manipulate that, then you have effectively allowed for a volume of clouds to populate. And when volume rises in clouds, rain falls because they meet the benefactor, the least common denominator. Instead of taking more resistance, it has a payload, which is a drop-off of rain droplets. Can the same be said for sex, where if there's no sex, there's no life? The temperature has to go up. I saw a bird with something attached to it, and I didn't know if it was its inside that was attached and it was trailing outside of it, because it was a streamline like a kite tail on this sucker, or was it something attached to it on the outside? The difference of the two is significant, because this was what could entail adjuvant from something that is not adjuvant, a normal thing. And this is what, if you never had something fertile become less. Something fertile becomes less. And something fertile becomes less. It's almost as if there is a boba drink where it's a texture thing. It can be a big turnoff if boba is soft or not made right or hard as a tack. And despite tapioca, you can say anything spherical at the bottom of a drink is boba because it doubles as one. So a chocolate chip that's been heated goes towards a circular shape. It's told, what if there's berries at the bottom of the drink? Well, don't berries float? Well, imagine if they didn't. They'd be considered what boba is at the bottom because they're spherical. But inside your innards, there's different fluids, and if they're different, like hard shapes instead of soft, and then this would be an anomaly where you would be less fertile in case of having to procreate. That would be as though the temperature when procreating wouldn't go up, it would just go up a little bit. And this is what old people have problems with. And it's no different than if you were having to go outside, but then you couldn't go outside because you were a danger to society because of your own anatomy. And there's no other way to cut this other than we don't understand this yet. And that's why if you're being told that you can't and you have to isolate and you get thrown somewhere if you don't, A, that's horrific, and B, that's a thing that is where the weather, they'd say that they've predicted it and that it's too dangerous to be a thing, not of you, of outside of you. The same as the bird. It didn't matter if the bird's string had been from its inside or it's attached to it from the outside, it was still trailing it, and that was a horrific thing to see, very disturbing. And no matter what case it was in, you don't want something trailing on you. that isn't a part of you, like an IV if it's attached to you. It was the same thing, but it was airborne, so it was like twice as dangerous. And then one second. That, and then oh yeah, the what was the fucking other thing? There's that got checked, and then the virtually anything. When you were talking about what a post is, there's a picture right here. This is a post. Anything that is like a picture or text is a picture you're posting. And so you can add anything. Anything is an ad. An ad is advertisement, but it's also the word of like just an ad in general, of an addition to, an add-on. And so there's hair everywhere. People shed hair. Can people shed other things? You bet your buttons they do. An ad, and then oh yeah, virtually, it's like the ether. They were trying to figure out if there was an ether that was real, and so then I keep trying to turn with the light in my back, so I can't walk this way and then have my face be black. That's bad advertising. So virtually, the virtual web is everywhere. So literally, this is where we're going with having what making a sale is. If you can sell someone on they can't go outside because they're dangerous and they're asymptomatic, you've ostensibly sold your entire body to an experiment that you didn't even sign up for. And that's where this is going. So with what muons are, I'm going to explain in a little bit how those are relevant. Key on the ground gone missing someone. I had a $400 key go missing. Found it on Facebook. Someone picked it up. So that the muon, if there's like a $400 part in your body and they're like, oh, this muon stuff can help, are you going to do it? What if you're in a bad position? You're more likely to. So that's the key here, is the main takeaway. I'm not claiming to have the keys to the universe to crack the code of space-time and unlock everything, like a Joseph Smith to the Mormons making the Mormon book. But I know when a few things are wrong, and I've got my finger on one of them. I know it's really telling when you can't predict the weather. I'm not here to say there's weather that's been modified, because climate change is the do-all to end-all. And there's weather manipulation. I'm not saying that there is, but as people who are on flat Earth, they are so to be called extreme with their point of view. But within reference of the Earth having an area where outside of the Earth, in between the solar system to the planet Earth, that relation has a gravity field that wells in and out areas that are unknown, because gravitational wise, the pool is so chaotic that any measurements are arbitrary on its face. This I view as muon technology. When there's stuff that's trying to get enhanced by playing with muons, they're easy to get played with. And by manipulating areas around them in the same coordinates, one and the same, arbitrary on its face.